I think this should be great. This is a continuation of our series on learning how to teach online. We're primarily focused on asynchronous learning, but feel free to ask any questions about any kind of teaching that you're planning to do. All right, so as we said, our first webinar in this series was design, and Lydia focused on how to plan and design an effective online course. So she focused on backward design, writing objectives and planning modules, and how to write a clear, effective syllabus. So today, our session will focus on selecting materials, designing rubrics, and setting up your classroom and Blackboard. So to get started, I want to talk a little bit about quality. So what do we mean when we refer to high quality courses? So USC has adopted the Quality Matters, or QM, higher education rubric for high quality course design, which was developed collaboratively by faculty from across the country. In adopting the rubric, the Provost Faculty Committee on Distributed Learning added in accessibility standards recommended by the Student Disability Resource Center. So the USC version of the DL Quality Review Checklist consists of 9 domains and 49 specific standards. So while we understand that due to some of the crisis-related remote teaching, you may not be able to achieve all of these specific standards for your remote classes, we want to introduce you to these concepts so you can know what kinds of things to consider as you plan. These will also be important if you choose to continue teaching the course online. So let's take a quick look at the 9 domains. The course overview and introduction. The course overview and introduction includes guidance in giving students all the information they need to be successful in the course. The learning outcomes and objectives let students know what measurable skills they should master by the end of the course. Assessment and measurement guides the development of meaningful assignments and assessments that measure student progress toward the learning objectives. Instructional materials should be a variety of current and course-appropriate materials that clearly support the learning objectives. The course activities and learner interaction are learning activities that should promote the achievement of the course objectives and provide plenty of opportunity for students to interact with each other. Course technology should be current and easy to use. Also, they should promote student engagement and active learning. Learner support, you should be sure to tell students about the support services the university offers, including help with coursework and technology and how to find it. Later, I will share some ways to make sure your online course is accessible to students under university and ADA guidelines, and your course format should be intuitive and easy for students to navigate. You can access a copy of the university's quality assurance checklist from the Files pod on your screen. So as a side note, please remember that because it's based on the copyrighted QM rubric, you do not have permission to make multiple copies or forward the checklist further. So we use this checklist when we're helping faculty develop new online courses, and also when conducting quality reviews of existing distributed learning courses. Generally, our goal is to review every online course every 3 to 5 years. In line with the idea of backwards design, choosing your instructional materials should be aimed at giving students the tools they need to be able to master the learning objectives you identified for the course. So remember that selecting the right resources for your online course will be critical for your student success. You might teach a foundational course such as history where the textbook options seem endless, or perhaps you teach a specialty course like philosophy and knitting, which is one of our honors courses, where no textbook exists. Either way, your task is the same: find the best learning resources to help students master the course objectives. Remember also that your students will have different learning tendencies, so be sure to choose a variety of information sources. I do want to quickly remind you that whether you adopt a textbook or not, your online book order will be due through the university's ordering system before registration opens. For more information, you can contact the textbook manager at the Russell House bookstore. So here's a few options for selecting instructional materials. So publisher content. With the growth of digital content and alternate forms of media like textbook rentals, publishers have generally stepped up their game to provide added value in the face of competition. According to Inside Higher Ed, several of the largest education publishers now generate most of their sales and revenue from digital products. As a general rule, this shift in dynamics has led to more format options for students and a better variety of content-related tools and enhancements for faculty to consider. For example, faculty at USC can tap into Pearson, McGraw-Hill, and Cine-Gauge resources through Blackboard and incorporate features like case studies, videos, and quizzes into their courses. E-learning services can work with you to investigate the possibility of supporting other publisher content as well. So, Open Educational Resources, or OERs. So these are educational materials offered freely online for anyone to use. Most OER licenses allow the resources to be shared, remixed, or customized for your class. These can be a great option to kind of customize your course materials and also provide a cost-effective option for your students. These can include things like textbooks, course materials, streaming videos, even tests and software to support access to knowledge. You can visit the Thomas Cooper Library page for more information and personalized assistance with OERs. You can also see the OER resources pod down at the bottom left.
So speaking of the library, in addition to assigned readings, you might want to consider using video or multimedia materials in your course. So there are several sources you might want to check for free content. Khan Academy is a not-for-profit organization. So educational films and library content. So you may want to use video multimedia. There are resources outside of the library or outside of USC, like Khan Academy or TEDx. As with any materials you find on the web, make sure to check the facts and about sections of the particular website to verify you can use the material before uploading it to your course. Thomas Cooper Library also has several streaming film resources that can be licensed to be used in class or on Blackboard. So you can get some of that information from the library's webpage, and you can also request any sort of consultation from the OER librarian, the educational films librarian, and all of the colleges. And you should be aware of this, but if not, all colleges have an assigned research librarian that is dedicated to your subject and to your unit. So those people are also a great place to start as well. The library is also generally able to upload reserved materials into Blackboard for you, so they can scan library materials or find links to resources for you, as well as address copyright concerns connected to posting materials. So you can fill out the online e-reserve form. Right now, the scan service is not available, but many, because no one's in the library, but many other library resources are. Also, I know that the librarians have been working really hard with other libraries in order to try and find as much content for you as possible that can be accessed without having to go to the physical library. All right. So instructor created documents and videos. So if you want to create your own content, make sure to follow the rule of 20. So your lecture or presentation should never go over 20 minutes for one particular video. You may have several videos, but you want your content to be divided into shorter segments, which can help for attention span, but also can help for bandwidth purposes. If your videos are not streaming and students have to download them, it can become challenging for them. So you'll want to choose your delivery method. So web lectures usually include a combination of video, audio, and presentation slides like PowerPoint. I suggest you write out a script to keep yourself on track. So use a format that works for you, whether a screen capture tool like Adobe Presenter and Camtasia or presentation software like Blackboard Collaborate. The Office of Distributed Learning can support video creation and help with software issues. Organizing your content is your next step. So the beginning part of any presentation should capture students' attention, cover the learning goals, and link your students' prior knowledge to what they're about to learn. So after presenting your material, the closing should quickly summarize what you've covered. Be sure to chunk learning content into parts, break down content into smaller, more manageable chunks, and you'll want to give shorter lecture segments separated by their activities. This allows students to practice and master the course material and also keeps them engaged in the learning process. This goes both for live sessions and recorded videos. Finally, you'll want to give your students an opportunity to engage with the content. After viewing your lecture, consider asking students to complete a discussion board post, short reflection, or even a quiz. Research suggests that requiring students to complete a post-lecture assignment reinforces concepts covered and encourages knowledge application. Okay, so next we're going to talk a little bit about rubrics and course organization in Blackboard. So a rubric is rubrics are an important component of assessment, so ensuring a clear understanding on the part of the student of what you are expecting in an activity or assessment. Both students and instructors benefit from rubrics, as instructions are clear for students and grading is made easier for instructors. So your expectations for a high quality assignment are made clear to the student, and you can focus your assessment on the identified criteria. The grade the student receives is supported and documented by the application of the rubric scoring. So a rubric is a scoring guide used to evaluate students' graded work. In a rubric, specific and descriptive criteria are provided for the evaluation of students' work and are tied to the course grading policy and learning outcomes. Students are provided with a clear and complete description of the criteria that will be used to evaluate their work and participation in the course. These criteria are stated up front at the beginning of the course, and the description or statement of criteria provides students with clear guidance on the instructor's expectations and on the required components of coursework and participation. The criteria give students the information they need to understand how a grade on an assignment or activity will be calculated. The levels or rating scale provide a set of values for scoring the quality of performance for each criterion. Descriptors provide definitions and examples that illustrate the attributes being measured. So you can also build these directly into Blackboard. So I know that's kind of small, but the general idea is there. Don't worry too much about the specifics. So using a rubrics in Blackboard, you can help ensure consistent and impartial grading, clarify students' expectations, help students focus on your expectations, reduce the number of questions you receive by providing the rubric up front, and provide students with electronic feedback. You can create interactive rubrics in Blackboard, so rubrics consist of rows and columns, and the rows correspond to the criteria. The columns correspond to the level of achievement that describes each criterion. So once you create the rubric, you can associate that or link that rubric to gradable Blackboard content. At the moment, you can link rubrics directly with these tools in Blackboard. So assignments, essays, short answer, and file response test questions. So not the whole test, but specific questions. Blogs and journals, wikis, discussion forums, and threads. You can also associate a rubric within a non-calculated grade center column. So for example, you can associate a rubric with a manually created column for class participation and use the rubric to grade participation. After you create and associate the rubric with content, such as an assignment, you can use it for grading. And students can see the rubrics and any qualitative feedback that the instructor provides. So when you're developing your course in Blackboard, there's a couple things you want to keep in mind. So every course offered at USC, whether it's face-to-face, hybrid, or fully online, has a Blackboard course shell generated for it. So all courses are created in Blackboard using information from the registrar's office prior to the start of the semester. A unique course shell is available for each section of a course. Developing your course in Blackboard is critical to student success. So especially when you are fully online, the Blackboard course page acts as your digital classroom. So once you've designed your course using backwards design, best practices, and quality assurance standards, you're ready to develop the course in Blackboard. When developing your course in Blackboard, you do not have to start from scratch. So an instructional designer at CTE can work with you and provide you with a CTE Blackboard template. So this is not a live template as some might kind of think as fill in a blank kind of a thing. Really what we did is we created a sandbox course. So if you're not familiar, a sandbox course is a Blackboard course shell that's identical to your regular courses. It's just not connected to the registrar's office. And so you can work in there without having to worry about students being in the course. You can work in there with if the live course isn't available for whatever reason. So this is a course structure that we can copy for you into a live course or preferably into a sandbox course that we can create you. So if this is something that you're familiar with, make sure to contact the CTE. Gloria or Leanne, if you could throw our email address in there. If you are interested in this, you can request a sandbox directly from the Division of IT, but they don't have access to our templates. That's something you need to get from CTE. So the template itself is based on quality assurance standards developed from the Quality Matters rubric. So the course menu is divided into 3 major sections, and I will have more close-ups of those in just a second. The getting started, the course content, and resources. So we recommend using the announcements as the landing page. So first page students see when they come into the Blackboard course site. So with announcements, you can post timely information critical to student success. So you can zoom in on your own browser, because I don't want to block the chat box. So you can zoom in on your browser if you need to see that a little more closely. So the getting started section of the course menu contains links to start here, course information, syllabus and schedule, and information about the instructor. So for the syllabus and schedule, you should make sure to provide printable versions in both Word and PDF formats and an HTML version, which are built out within the Blackboard course information section. So the Start Here and Course Information content areas provide the course overview and introduction, as well as information traditionally included in the syllabus. So in our template, we have a boilerplate language that helps you meet the distributed learning quality assurance standards. So such items include a course introduction, information on the delivery method, communication, technology. Course information includes standard syllabus information, including major assignments, grading scales, course policies, and student support resources. So since those are common throughout campus, we've already put those together for you. The course content section contains links to the course modules, the course cafe, and Blackboard Collaborate Ultra. In course modules, the course content is broken into modules by content-specific topics, by units or chapters of a textbook you are using, or by date or time frame. I'll go into more details about course modules content area in just a second. So the course cafe is the Q&A or frequently asked questions discussion board that provides a central location for questions related to the course, especially questions about content or assignment specifics. Blackboard Collaborate Ultra is Blackboard's integrated web conferencing tool that you may choose to use for synchronous live sessions, virtual office hours, or video recording. You may want to rename this link to make your specific purpose clear to students. The last section, resources, contains quick links to My Grades for students to quickly check grades for your course, the Blackboard email feature to send email to all or selected users, students, groups, teaching assistants, instructors, or observers, and the Blackboard Help website for students. If you use external technologies such as Adobe Connect or YouTube, you'll want to, or including Blackboard, you can use the Privacy and Accessibility Policies content area. The Tips for Success section is an area to add information that may help students to succeed, that may fall outside this traditional area of a syllabus, but are still important to students, such as tips for taking tests in Blackboard or study strategies. Course modules, also referred to as learning modules, divide the content of your course into digestible pieces. So modules are built within folders and gives your course content structure, consistency, and form for online presentation and delivery to your students. Each module should include the module overview, module level learning objectives or outcomes, module task list or to-do list, and module components. So the module overview can kind of give your students an introduction to what they'll be doing during that module or that week. Think of this as what might you say to introduce this in the first couple of minutes of the first class of the week, kind of providing them some guidance of where they're going to be going. The module level learning objectives and outcomes form the basis of what's to be learned and keep students aware of what they should be able to do upon completion of a module or unit of instruction. So a well-stated learning objective is always expressed in terms of the learner, focused on what the learner needs to do, not the instructor. It's precise and supports only one interpretation. So it describes an observable behavior and specific conditions under which the behavior is performed. Learning objectives are normally shown in bulleted list format and start with a sentence like, at the conclusion of this module, you will be able to. And oftentimes these learning objectives can be what you turn pretty easily into a task list. So to help keep students on task, include a to-do list that students can refer to or print out. All the activities that the student needs to complete for the module should be included on the to-do list, as well as anything that has a deadline associated with it, such as assignments, discussion postings, and quizzes. You can even add a suggested time on task for each item or also suggested deadlines for completing required readings. The list should be written out in the order that the activities are presented in the module and should be detailed enough so that students know exactly what needs to be completed for the module. The module itself should contain all instructional materials, learning activities, assignments, and assessments required or optional for the students to meet the module level learning objectives. That said, we know that this level of module build can be challenging to put together for your summer course or potentially for your fall course, but hopefully you have more time for your fall course. But focus on organizing your material in a way that makes sense and communicating clear expectations for your students, even if you aren't able to build all the way out in this example. For our last bit of content, I'm going to finish talking about usability and accessibility, which go hand in hand. So usability refers to course navigation, information on technology accessibility, readability, and ease of use. Although we're not going to focus on accessibility in this webinar, I wanted to bring it to your attention to be aware that we need to ensure that all materials provided to students in an online course are accessible from day one. You may have students that do not have declared disabilities, as well as prefer learning in different methods, or second language learners who also benefit from accessible content. Navigation refers to the process of planning, controlling, and recording the movement of a student from one place to another in the online course. You should ensure that navigation throughout the course is consistent, logical, and efficient. The course's navigation strategies should make it easy to move through the course and course activities. Most aspects of the CTE template, the 3 course sections, the modules, are geared towards course usability from a student's perspective. You should ensure that the course includes links to the accessibility statements for all required technologies. If an accessibility statement does not exist for a particular technology, you should include a statement that explains that there is none. You should ensure that course design elements maximize usability by facilitating readability and minimizing distractions. You should ensure that course content is clearly presented so that students can easily read and interpret it. This includes color combinations, font, style, and size, white space, content format, text background, contrast, and grammar and punctuation, of course, are also important. Multimedia refers to images, audio, animation, video, and interactive components used for content or feedback. These multimedia objects should be easy to use, intelligible, and interoperational across devices. You should ensure that course multimedia are easy to view, operate, and interpret. I mentioned it a little bit before, but YouTube is a great resource for they automatically caption all of their videos, and also you can upload your own transcript to add closed captioning to a video as well. All right, a bit of accessibility. So accessibility is very important as you're developing your course. So a lot of what it takes to make a course completely accessible is easy to do. So here are 6 steps to ensure your course is accessible from day one. So you'll want to use technology that's accessible for everyone and also include guidance on how to obtain accommodation. Hi, Scott. So yeah, I'm gonna let Gloria respond to that, but yeah, we will look into that because that should not be the request, or that should not be the answer. So we will look into that for you. All right, you'll if you include a PDF, you'll want to make sure that optical character recognition has been performed on scanned PDF files before being posted. So Adobe Pro is a tool that can OCR your PDFs. You're checking that something you've scanned and saved as a PDF is not just saved as an image. If your PDF files are not accessible, you can also post their Word document equivalent or linked to HTML equivalent. So sorry, I wasn't sure if I said that. OCR is optional character recognition, optical character recognition. So essentially what it means is that the program scans your, essentially what is a photograph of a scan and tries to its best to recognize the actual letters and make it a document that is searchable. I don't really know how it works. Just know that it does. So if your PDF files are not accessible, you can also post their Word document equivalent or link to an HTML equivalent. This allows your students to manipulate the content to make it usable for them individually. So posted documents such as Word, Excel, or PowerPoint should also be accessible and usable by screen readers, which is pretty easy to do. So videos and audio files need to be captioned and or accompanied by a transcript posted at the same time. You may have students that do not have declared disabilities, as well as prefer learning in different methods, or second language learners who benefit from accessible content. It's always best to write out your transcript before you record for best production quality, but mostly to save you time for transcriptions. So there are speech-to-text programs in YouTube that will capture mechanical transcripts, which may save you some time in writing out your script, but you will still need to edit those. Some students only use their computer keyboard to access content due to limited motor functions. So all technology and content you use should be accessible with only a mouse. Yeah, so Brigida, Adobe Acrobat Pro is one, but also if you're familiar with the concept of Blackboard Ally, Blackboard Ally is now integrated with Blackboard. So if you upload any document into Blackboard, you should have, from an instructor view, you should have a little, I can't, a little scale temperature thing. I cannot think of the word at the moment, but you have a little emblem that is green, red, or yellow that kind of tells you how accessible it is. If you actually scale, dial, yeah. If you click on the gray arrow next to that, it actually gives you an opportunity to download that document. And students can see this too. They can't see the score or the little green dial, but they see the gray button that allows them to download it in different formats. So they can download it as an audio file, all sorts of other things to get the accessible thing that they need. So one thing you can do if you don't have access to Adobe Pro is you can upload a document to Blackboard, and you can actually re-download it as a OCR'd PDF. So it will actually do that conversion for you. I've done that a bunch. It can take some time, but if you already have some documents that you need to do that too, it's pretty great. You can learn more about Blackboard Ally. We'd be happy to help you with that. The e-learning services and also Office of Student Disability Resource Center can also help with those things. Gerardo, honestly, I think it's going to completely depend on your individual accent, but you could use speech to text to get an initial transcript that you would need to edit, and depending upon the program, you're going to have various levels of success. So I would kind of find a couple of them. Dragon Naturally Speaking is a pretty good one. Google has some speech to text. I would try a couple of them out and see what your results are. All right. So as you're using publisher content, make sure that those are not always automatically 100% ADA compliant. So if you will want to check on those things, and if it's not, you can, I would suggest contacting the publisher to request that they work on those things.